Imagine this. Someone comes to your church. They walk up to you, pastor, after service, shake your hand, say, "Hey, I'm glad I was here. Look, you preached a good message. I really felt the presence of the Lord in me. Maybe God wants to do something with me. I don't know. But the reason I'm here is because when I was looking for a church, your name kept coming up. The name of the church kept coming up. And I felt like God was telling me something." I've heard this multiple times from our clients, and I know why that happens. And I'm going to share with you how that happens because we intentionally put the church in front of people multiple times, even before they're looking for a church, but especially when they're looking for a church. And one of the easiest ways we do that is part of our peak positioning phase and a little bit of our momentum multiplier phase. And that's helping the church be engaging online, be found online, be accurately represented online, and be known as the provider of answers to people's needs and pains. Because here's how a lot of churches treat their websites. Okay? They think that if they just have it, people will find it. Okay? Just having a website doesn't let you be found. Okay? And by the way, as I'm talking through this, there are several pastors here that are going to take out their phone or go on their computer and look up churches in my town, church near me. And your church website is going to be the very first one that shows up. And you're going to think, I've got everything figured out. The real way to test this, can people find your church online, is to go to someone else's phone. Okay? Your brother who's from out of town, your neighbor who doesn't go to your church or any church. Okay? Go to someone who's not affiliated, who preferably has never been to your church website before, and do a Google search on their device. Because Google knows a lot about you and me, and it knows that if I search for a church near me, I'm probably looking for the one I've been to. Because come on, they know what website I've been to. They know what church I physically been into, right? They're tracking my phone. They're tracking your phone. So if I search for church near me, it's going to give me Spring Baptist Church because that's where our daughter goes to Awana. So if I search for church, he probably wants to go back to that church that he went to last year now that Awana's starting back up. So let's give him this church. And if you search for church near me, hey, Google knows this guy goes to church like every day. Probably forgot his website name. Let's give him his church first. He probably wants to see what his church looks like online. Let's give it to him first. You cannot rely on your own Google search result. You can't Google your church and get an accurate representation, okay? You got to do it on someone else's device. And 9 times out of 10, what happens is you realize you were never on the first page of Google. You go and figure out how to look at your website analytics and you realize, oh man, there's only like 7 people coming to our website and only one of them was a new person. How did they even find me? I don't know. Sometimes God works in spite of us, okay? Having a website and not having a plan to bring people to it is a very 2010 strategy. And it doesn't work in 2023, okay? We don't go and post on MySpace, and we don't just create a Facebook personal profile for our church. It doesn't work that way anymore. We have to adapt with best practices. Everyone and their mother has a free church website now. You've got to make yours better, more engaging, and more optimized to be found online. Okay? So you can't just have a website and not have a plan to bring people to it. It's the same thing as building a church and not having a plan to bring people to it. All right? And then the last thing is Google gives you a free way to show up not only on the first, which by the way, what we're going to talk about is mostly free unless you use specialized tools like we do to do it for you. But by the way, even if you have a terrible website, even if you are on page 1,000 of the Google search, Google actually will give you free money to advertise on its own platform in search. And when you advertise, you show up in that top spot if it's a good ad. If it's not, it shows at the bottom of the page, but do what I tell you and you'll show up at the top. So not only can you show up, okay, let's think about this. If you make your website good, you'll show up on the front page. But not only that, I'm going to share with you how you can show up even above other websites using Google Business Profile. If you search for churches near me, you won't get websites first, you'll get places first. Okay. And then if you use that ad grant, if you're a 501c3, you get up to $10,000 a month in ad spend. You can show up even above that. So guess what? I'm going to share with you the 3 ways here that you can rank on the first page of Google, not only 1 time as a website, not only 2 times as a website and a local business, or a local place, but 3 times as a website, a local place, and an ad. And guess what's going to get people to say, man, God must be trying to tell me something. This must be the church I need to go to. They're here 3 times. Subconsciously, they might even think this church really wants me. And that's why you got to work on that message. Because if you show up 3 times and you don't have a compelling message, they're going to think this church really wants my money. So let me go through real quick the steps you can take to appear on the top of Google search 3 times. Number 1, go to business.google.com. Actually, I think it's google.com/business now. And claim your business profile. You can Google your search. You can Google your church. And in the little listing that appears in the sidebar on your desktop or at the top or on maps, there's a button that says own this business. Now, hopefully when you click that, it'll ask you for if you want to claim the business, and they'll send you a postcard or a phone call to verify, hey, I'm here, I own the business, or I run the business. And then you can get in there and just follow the step-by-step to at least complete the profile. You won't do all the advanced stuff that we do that will rank higher than you, but you can at least rank higher than the other churches that haven't done anything. And in some areas, that'll get you in the top 3. All right, follow those directions. Google.com/business, find your church. And if you're freaked out, if you're like, why is there already a business profile if I've never set it up? Because Google did it for you. Because Google knows everything. There's a church there. Let's make a profile for it. Okay. Which is why you got to go in and optimize it. Because if you change something, Google's not going to change it. And you got people calling your old phone number. Number 2 is you got to optimize your website to be very extremely user-friendly. Meaning it loads fast. Meaning it's well designed. Meaning it works good on a phone. I don't got to pinch and squeeze and zoom. Meaning when I go to your website, I actually click to do something. It's called your bounce rate. If you have a high bounce rate, okay, it's like Google's watching your church and people go in and they walk right out. Are you going to think that's a good church on a Sunday morning? 80 people walk in and immediately the 80 people walk out? Or 80 people, maybe your church of 20, 80 people walk in and 60 people immediately turn around and walk out? You think I'm going to think that's a good church? Now, don't get all high and mighty. They're not in it for Jesus. Don't get all high and mighty. Don't ruin my illustrations. Google's paying attention to how many people click your website and then immediately leave. So optimize your website, create an online guest journey to bring people from brand new to being inspired to take a next step. Click this button. Okay. And then lastly, if you're a 501c3, get the ad grant, all right, and start using it. Now, it's incredibly complicated to use. I'm not saying that because I want to sell you something. I'm saying that because I, as the owner of an agency, cannot even figure out Google campaigns that meet the ad grant requirements. I had to hire someone to do it, and she does amazing work. It's incredibly complicated, right? And I can teach you how to do it using basically the SOPs that we have that get our clients results. But if you got to go out and figure it out on your own, it's going to take some time. Okay. But if you can get that grant and you can get those campaigns running, meaning they're actually running and spending money and maintaining above a 5% click-through rate, which means 5% of people that see that ad click on it, then you will get more people coming to your website and Google will rank you higher in the ads. Okay. You do that. When someone searches for a church near me, number 1, they're going to see an ad. Worship services near you to answer that hole in your heart. I don't know. I just made that up. Okay. They're like, okay, that's an ad. Scroll down. Places. Here's a church near you. Your church shows up. Okay, that's near me, so that's good to know. Scroll down. Maybe I know that's a local place. I want to see websites. Maybe I'm looking for the Yelp top 10 churches, right? Guess what? Right below that and above Yelp's recommendations, it's your church. You got a hole in your heart and nothing seems to fill it. The answer's here. This is what fills your life. Not only fills it, but makes it overflow, right? You do that. Guess what? The first time, it's just an ad. Second time, okay, that's nice. They're near me. Third time, this church really, guys, is trying to get a hold of me. There's something here, okay? And if you do this when no other church is doing this, you will get people coming to your church. And that's why these are pillars of our definitive church marketing method, because you do this, people will show up. All right. When clients come with us, I don't know the exact number, but the bounce rate, meaning the number of people who click on the website and then leave without doing anything, is around 80%. Meaning 4 out of 5 people that come to your website don't do anything and they leave. Google sees 4 out of 5 people walk in your church, 4 of them immediately turn around and walk out. And Google's not going to recommend that church. All right. Industry goal. I'm not saying this is the final goal, but industry goal, meaning like if you get to this number, you're good, 40%. All right. And if you can get your website engagement, your bounce rate down to 40%, Google will start taking you seriously because obviously you're answering someone's questions they're clicking through. And now instead of 4 out of 5 people walking out, now only 2 are walking out. More people are staying than leaving. So they must be doing something right. When we take these actions that I shared with you, the ad, the Google business profile, the organic ranking with the other websites, you show up there 3 times, you will see better results. And when you see better results on Google, people will show up to your church.